We're in conversation with Brian Lee, founder of Chopped, the chain of healthy, fresh, fast food shops. Brian, nice to meet you. Your father's a self-employed builder. You travelled with him very early as a kid. Do you think the whole spark to work for yourself came from him?
Yeah, well, people often ask me, where did the spark come from? Where did the entrepreneurism come from? And that's the only thing I can think of. When I was younger, from 4 or 5 years of age, on my summer holidays, being brought with my father to the building sites, and I'd be given a brush, sweep the floor every year growing up. But it wasn't just that, it was actually going in on the meetings with him, being dragged along. So I was listening to him, how he engaged with clients and how he negotiated on the job being done and the process of it. So there was a lot of valuable stuff I was soaking up as a sponge.
But you did get out and kind of start making a few bob for yourself quite early in life, market gardens and
yeah, when you're a young lad at 11 years of age, you're always looking to either out there wash your father's car or cut the grass, and it was cutting the grass of a few neighbours that made me go out and get a business card and start cutting a few more. And that was my first entrepreneurism venture, if you want to call it, as a sort. So later on in life, I was always looking for the next opportunity.
But you trained as a carpenter, I think. What made you jump from that into setting up your first business, a gym?
So my fallback was to go into the family trade as carpentry and building, and I served my time. I'd over 10 years at it, and when I was 19, I bought my first property, and then the crash came. So I had planned to go into the property game before this happened, and it was myself and Andy, my business partner, that met when we were 15. We decided to sit down every week for an hour in a hotel lobby way, regardless of the outcome, and try and think of the next big thing that we could do together. While I was in the building, I invested into 2 convenience stores. And it was actually from those convenience stores and looking at the poor quality of food that was coming out of the delis that made me come up with the idea for Chopped.
You're quite extensive now throughout the Republic of Ireland. You're in Cyprus, you're in Northern Ireland, but you chose the franchise model as well as directly owned stores. Was that basically to expand quickly without having to have the capital to do so?
Yes, there was that involvement in it as well. Ultimately, what the reason was for franchise was there was competition from overseas that are well-established franchisees. They were coming into the market, and we needed to take a hold on it. And we were the first to market in Ireland, and we needed to capture that quick. We had 2 options to do that. We take VC investors, or we go
venture capital.
Venture capital. Or we go on and we take the franchise route. You have your risks in both, but we wanted to keep control of the destiny of the brand and keep control of where we wanted to make changes to the brand as we evolved. So we chose to do the franchise route. And we opened up 10 company-owned stores, and we franchised out from there.
I know you're a great admirer of Richard Branson. How useful, how valuable is it to have mentors like that? Mentors that you don't even necessarily meet, but that you can read their life messages.
It's very important to have these, I wouldn't say mentors, I would say people that you can aspire to, and people that have done well in life, but also people who have done better than what you're doing. So it drives you on to keep wanting to do better all the time.
You're relatively young in business. You're growing rapidly through the franchise and direct model. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs in terms of trying to get appropriate finance, capital?
Well, that's a tricky one, because for me, I used my own savings on my own first store, and we borrowed a small amount of money. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have bills to pay. I still lived at home. All the risks, there was no risks. So all I was going to lose was the money in the bank. To me, it was just numbers on the screen. My advice is, if you're younger and you're still in the situation I was in, where you're still living at home and you can take them risks, take them while you're younger, because you'll never get that opportunity when you get older.
And would one of your key messages be comfortable with your own attitude to risk?
You just got to be fearless to a sense, but you got to be calculated. So I usually have a ratio when I'm looking at new businesses. I look at if I'm 70% confident that this business is going to do well according to the business plan, the research, the market analysis, well then I'll go with it. I'm never going to be 100% that anything is going to be certain. Even when we set up Chopped, I never was 100% certain. but I believed in the idea, the brand, our ability to execute the plan that we had set out.
You talk about the plan, you talk about the research, you talk about the analysis. It sounds like you've built a good team around you.
Yeah, we've gone from 2 people to 750 people. So, but the core of us would be a niche people of about 10 to 15 people that we have gathered together. Myself and Andy are not experts in food. We brought in development chefs that were experts. Rory Morahan, the Druid chef, he helped us design all our menus. So we're not accountants, we're not solicitors. We weren't experts in franchising. We brought all these people around us to follow our vision and our dream, and they bought into it, and that's how we were able to excel to where we are now.
You're a young man, 32. I know you have a young child in your life now. What about the whole work-life balance thing? Is there a message out there for people who immerse themselves in business? Can you make space for yourself?
Work, to most entrepreneurs, is their hobby, but you got to have another escape outside of work, because you'll become tired and annoyed with the business when things are getting to you. So you need to have that escape. For me, it's martial arts and fitness, but now it's my son.
How big do you plan Chopped is going to get?
That's $1 million question. So we're in talks with a few countries at the moment. So our next step is, we've done a deal now on a unit in Manchester, Piccadilly Square. So that's our next big opening and new venture. So we would open up 1 in Manchester, 2 in London, ideally, and that will set up our supply chain, and we will start franchising in the UK from there. We will look at probably about 200 stores in the UK, and we'll talk to a few other European countries and in the Middle East as well. So we've been back and forward to China talking to people as well.
Brian Lee, thanks indeed.